Welcome back, everybody. Today we're diving into a pretty significant event, the shooting of Officer J.D. Tippit in Dallas,
Yeah.
just after, President Kennedy was assassinated. Same day, November 22nd, 1963.
Big day.
Big day, a lot going on. For this deep dive, you guys sent in some great articles from the fourth decade.
Right.
And this is a journal, of course, that's known for its research on the JFK assassination.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got 4 articles in the stack,
Yeah.
each one giving us a kind of a unique, I think, perspective.
Yeah. Should be interesting.
Yeah. On this complex event.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how all these pieces kind of fit together, especially, since the Tippit shooting
Right.
is often overshadowed by, the main event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first article was Jack Tatum, an eyewitness of the Tippit shooting.
Right.
It kind of right off the bat throws us into a controversy.
Yeah.
It challenges the account of Jack Tatum, who claimed to have seen Lee Harvey Oswald shoot Tippit.
Right.
Okay. So the second article, stunning new evidence in the JFK case.
Okay.
Now, this takes us in a whole other direction.
Right.
And it focuses on potential discrepancies in the official autopsy evidence of President Kennedy.
Okay.
And then my brief correspondence with the late Aline Mosby explores a journalist's intriguing interviews with Oswald
Okay.
in Moscow
Oh, wow.
before the assassination. And then last but not least, we've got Albrecht Schweitzer College Revisited,
Right.
which delves into the mysteries surrounding Oswald's application to this college in Switzerland.
Oh, interesting.
Are you ready to unpack all of this?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to dive in.
Let's dive in.
Let's start with Jack Tatum's testimony.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating how his account, is it's both detailed and kind of problematic at the same time. He gives us, specific information that actually aligns with, some of the lesser known details that we've heard from other witnesses, like the blanket
Yeah.
that was used to cover Tippit's body.
You're right. Those details really make it seem like he was there.
Right.
And some of his statements, his description of the final shot to Tippit's head, match, the autopsy report.
Yeah.
But then we stumble on this, what seems to be, I don't know, kind of like a small detail about the car that he was driving.
Yeah.
Tatum described it as, all red. Yet another witness, Domingo Benavides,
Okay.
described a red Ford with a white top
Oh, right. At the scene.
at the scene.
And that's where that Esquire article about Igor Vaganov
Right.
comes in, right? Remember, Vaganov, he was a Latvian immigrant, and some researchers believe he might have been present at the Tippit shooting.
Okay.
And the author of that article kind of brings up this discrepancy
Right.
with the car color.
Right.
And really throws Tatum's entire account into question.
Yeah.
It's really a powerful example of how even, the smallest inconsistencies can unravel a witness's, entire story.
Yeah, it does seem, like you're saying, it seems like a nitpick, right?
Right.
But in a case like this, every detail matters.
Exactly.
Could this be the thread? I mean, do you think this is the thread that unravels, Tater's entire account?
I think so.
And what about Benavides?
Oh, yeah.
What makes, and why is his testimony so important in all this?
Well, I mean, Benavides was one of the first people to arrive at the scene right after the shooting.
Okay.
So his, being so close to the event and the level of detail that he provides makes his account, I think, particularly compelling.
Yeah.
And it's him, not Tatum,
Yeah.
who described that red Ford with the white top
Okay.
at the scene.
This is already getting complicated.
Yeah.
So we have Tatum's, seemingly credible account,
Right?
but ultimately flawed. Then we have Benavides,
Mm-hmm.
who seems to contradict him on a key detail. How does the Esquire article and this Vaganov guy
Right.
fit into all this?
Well, the Esquire article really dives into, the whole Vaganov mystery.
Right.
Exploring the possibility that he was more than just, some random bystander
Right.
at the Tippit shooting.
Okay.
The article even suggests that Vaganov might have been acting as a communications person,
What?
relaying information during the Tippit shooting,
Okay.
much like, some believe Jim Hicks was doing in Dealey Plaza
Right.
during the assassination of President Kennedy.
Whoa. Wait, are you suggesting a link
Yeah.
The coordinated effort between the two shootings.
Potentially. It's,
It's a huge implication.
it's certainly a thought-provoking connection,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And it kind of leads us right into Article 2,
Okay.
which focuses on the JFK autopsy evidence. If there were, inconsistencies or deliberate alterations in the official narrative of the assassination itself, as this article claims,
Right.
then, the possibility of a broader conspiracy, including the Tippit shooting,
Yeah.
becomes much more plausible.
Okay. Let's shift gears then and talk about this autopsy evidence. This article, Stunning New Evidence, pulls no punches, right?
Yeah.
Claiming that the case is effectively broken due to numerous inconsistencies in the official reports.
Right.
And the handling of crucial evidence.
Right.
It mentions missing photographs, disputed wound locations,
Yeah.
even the, FBI agents who challenge the accuracy of the official record.
That's right. The article raises some serious questions about the chain of custody.
Right.
For critical evidence.
Yeah.
We're talking about a case, of national importance.
Right.
And if there are gaps or inconsistencies, it, casts a long shadow over the entire investigation.
This isn't just one person, raising concerns either. The article mentions FBI agents James Sibbert and Francis O'Neill, both of whom were present during the autopsy,
Right.
expressing, their doubts
Mhm.
about the accuracy of the official reports and the photographs.
That's a powerful point. These aren't just armchair researchers.
Right.
We're talking about trained investigators who were directly involved in the case.
Right.
Their dissenting opinions carry a lot of weight.
Absolutely. The fact that they're contradicting the official narrative just adds another layer of intrigue to this already perplexing situation.
Right. It really highlights the fact that official reports, even in, high-profile cases,
Right.
aren't always infallible.
Yeah.
And, it really underscores the importance of seeking out multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
And scrutinizing every detail when we try to understand these historical events.
Okay. Before we get too deep into the autopsy evidence,
Okay.
let's take a step back and explore Article 3, which delves into Aline Mosby's interviews with Oswald
Right.
in Moscow before the assassination.
Right. Her insights are, I think, particularly valuable
Yeah.
because, she had direct contact with Oswald
Mhm.
years before he, became infamous.
Right.
And her impressions of him really offer a glimpse into, his personality and his state of mind
Right.
long before the events in Dallas.
I'm really curious about her decision not to include those interviews in her book about her time in Moscow.
It's a puzzling omission.
Imagine having those firsthand accounts of, the man who allegedly, killed the president.
Right.
Why wouldn't she share that with the world?
Maybe she felt, it'd be exploitative
Right.
to profit from those interviews after the assassination.
Yeah.
Or perhaps, she feared backlash
Yeah.
for her kind of less than flattering assessment of Oswald.
You're right.
Especially, given the polarized public opinion surrounding him.
Calling him not very intelligent and emotionally unbalanced after the fact could have been seen as, insensitive or even an attempt to smear his character. And who knows, maybe she even faced pressure from certain parties to keep those interviews quiet.
It was the Cold War.
Yeah.
And Oswald's defection to the Soviet Union was a major international incident.
Absolutely.
So it's certainly possible that, government agencies might have wanted to, control the narrative
Right.
surrounding Oswald.
Yeah. We may never know the full story behind her decision, but the mystery itself is fascinating.
Yeah.
It reminds us that there are often hidden layers and untold stories lurking beneath the surface of historical events.
Right. Speaking of hidden layers, Article 4 dives into a particularly intriguing aspect of Oswald's life.
Okay.
His application to the Albert Schweitzer College.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Switzerland. What stood out to you about this article?
I mean, just the sheer number of dead ends that the author encountered is remarkable. He went to great lengths to try to verify, the official records.
Right.
Contacted people who might have, firsthand knowledge.
Yeah.
Even reached out to Congressman Jim Wright, who had corresponded with the college on behalf of Oswald's mother.
Yeah. Marguerite.
Marguerite, yeah.
Right?
Marguerite Oswald.
It's like every time he got close to the truth, another discrepancy popped up.
Yeah.
Right. The article mentions, a letter from the college to Congressman Wright,
Right.
stating that they were sending, quote, the complete file on the matter, end quote.
Okay.
Which suggests that, maybe they had more information
Yeah.
about Oswald than they initially revealed.
Right.
And then there's that student list dated May 1959 with Oswald's name on it.
Mm.
But its authenticity couldn't be confirmed. It's incredibly frustrating, but also, incredibly captivating.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes you wonder, why would anyone go to such lengths to obscure Oswald's connection to, what seems like a random college
Right.
in Switzerland?
That's the million-dollar question. And it feels like we're just scratching the surface of this mystery.
Oh, boy.
What do you think we'll uncover as we dig deeper?
Well, the author was able to track down some former students
Okay.
who attended Albert Schweitzer College during that time period.
Okay.
So their first-hand accounts could, maybe shed some light on the situation.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting to hear their perspectives,
Yeah.
On the college, the application process,
Right.
and whether or not they have any recollection of Oswald or any kind of unusual activities
Yeah.
surrounding his, alleged enrollment.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear what they have to say.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And then we'll come back to unpack those interviews and see if they can bring us any closer to solving this puzzle.
Sounds good. Okay, so we're back and ready to really get into those student interviews from Albert Schweitzer College.
Yeah.
It feels like we're, getting closer to the heart of this mystery surrounding Oswald's time in Switzerland.
Yeah, these interviews offer, I think, a fascinating glimpse into the college itself.
Yeah.
And they kind of challenge some of the assumptions that we might have had based on, those official records.
Exactly. So the author tracked down two former students.
Right.
The first one attended during the spring of 1960,
Okay.
the same trimester that Oswald was supposedly registered for. What did this student have to say about Oswald's alleged presence at the school?
He was completely taken aback when the author informed him about, Oswald's supposed connection to the college.
Yeah.
He was adamant that due to the small size of the student body at the time, it would have been virtually impossible for Oswald to have been there without him noticing.
Wow, that's a pretty strong statement.
Yeah.
It seems like this student's firsthand account directly contradicts, the official narrative.
Right.
Did he have any other insights about that specific trimester?
Yeah.
Like, unusual events or maybe communication hiccups?
He didn't recall any unusual occurrences.
Okay.
And more importantly, he didn't remember any delays or issues with registration.
Right.
Around the start of the trimester. And remember, Oswald's mother, Marguerite,
Right.
had contacted the college and Congressman Wright because she believed there was a delay in Oswald's enrollment.
Right. So this student's memory challenges both the official record and Marguerite Oswald's account. It's like we're uncovering a whole new layer of inconsistencies with each, piece of information.
Right. It really underscores the challenges of historical research, right?
Yeah.
We're dealing with, memories and documents and conflicting narratives.
Yeah.
It's like trying to put together a puzzle where some of the pieces are missing and others might not even belong to the same picture.
Okay. So one student casts doubt on Oswald's presence during the spring trimester of 1960.
Right.
What about the second student? Did their account offer any additional insights into this mystery?
The second student had attended the entire 1959-1960 school year.
Okay.
So he had a broader perspective. What stood out in his interview was his recollection of the application process.
Right.
He specifically mentioned having to submit an essay and a letter of recommendation from his pastor as part of, his application.
That's interesting because the official records for Oswald's application don't seem to include those elements.
Right.
It raises the question of whether there were different application procedures for different students, and if so, why?
Yeah, it's a valid point, and it adds another layer of complexity to the whole situation.
Right.
We have to consider the possibility that Oswald's application was handled differently, whether it was intentionally or due to some, administrative oversight.
Okay. So the student interviews create more questions than answers.
Yeah.
What about the college staff? Did the author manage to connect with anyone who might have worked there?
Yeah.
During Oswald's supposed enrollment?
He did. He contacted the college secretary from that time,
Okay.
Erica Weibel. But even her input, I think, just added to the confusion. She couldn't definitively confirm the authenticity of the Oswald-related correspondence.
What?
Some of which even contained her signature.
Wait, she couldn't verify her own signature?
It is strange.
That's bizarre.
But it's important to note that the article suggests that she might have been acting under the direction of the college director at the time, Professor Kasparis.
Okay.
Who is now deceased.
Right.
So it's possible that, he had instructed her to handle the situation in a specific way, or perhaps he'd even orchestrated the inconsistencies in the records.
It feels like we're falling deeper into a rabbit hole of intrigue. Yeah. The plot keeps thickening, and the answers seem to be, slipping further away.
It's a reminder that even with, meticulous research, sometimes the truth remains elusive.
Yeah.
We may never know for certain what role, if any, Oswald played at the Albert Schweitzer College and why the records are so riddled with inconsistencies.
Yeah.
But the pursuit of those answers, that's what makes historical investigation so compelling.
It's true. We're left with more questions than answers. Did Oswald ever attend the Albert Schweitzer College?
Right.
If so, when and why? What were his motives? And why are there so many discrepancies in the official records?
Right. And perhaps, the most intriguing question of all, if we connect this back to the broader JFK assassination narrative.
Right.
Could Oswald's time in Switzerland, whether real or fabricated, be somehow linked to the events that unfolded in Dallas?
That's a fascinating question, and one that might never be fully answered, but the very fact that we can ask it, that we can connect these, what seem to be like disparate threads, is a testament to, the enduring power of historical inquiry. It's a reminder that the past is not fixed or immutable, but rather a fluid and ever-evolving narrative that we continue to shape with our questions and interpretations.
Absolutely.
So after this deep dive into the shooting of Officer Tippit and the swirling mysteries, surrounding Oswald's past, what are the key takeaways for our listeners? What have we learned about the nature of truth, memory, and historical investigation itself?
I think we've learned that eyewitness accounts, even those that seem, detailed and credible, can be unreliable.
Yeah.
Official reports, aren't always accurate or complete.
Right.
And multiple perspectives can both enrich and complicate our understanding of historical events.
Yeah.
The passage of time, individual biases, and the potential for deliberate manipulation, can all distort the lens through which we view the past.
That's so true. And what about the human factor?
Right.
The motivations, the secrets, the untold stories that might be lurking beneath the surface?
Those are often the most intriguing and elusive elements of any historical investigation, I think.
Yeah.
We can speculate, we can analyze, we can connect the dots, but sometimes those hidden motivations remain, shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
Adding to the, allure and the frustration of trying to piece together the truth.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to take us back to the Esquire article.
Okay.
And that intriguing face-to-face encounter between Helen Markham, the waitress who witnessed the Tippit shooting, and Igor Vaganov, the mysterious Latvian immigrant.
Right.
What happened when those two met?
It was a remarkable moment, orchestrated by the author of the Esquire article.
Yeah.
He took Vaganov back to Dallas.
Okay.
And arranged for him to meet Markham.
Okay.
Hoping to get, her reaction. And her response was both unexpected and, I think, incredibly insightful.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
She took one look at Vaganov and said, "No, that ain't Oswald."
Wait, so she didn't recognize him as the shooter? Does that mean Vaganov is off the hook?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think Markham's statement could be interpreted in several ways.
Right.
Maybe her memory of the event was foggy.
Yeah.
Or perhaps she didn't get a good look at the shooter's face during, the chaos.
Right.
Or maybe she did recognize him, but for reasons, we can only speculate about.
Yeah.
Chose to deny it.
So even this face-to-face encounter doesn't really provide a definitive answer.
Right.
It just adds another layer of complexity to the Vaganov mystery.
Exactly. And it reminds us that human memory is a fragile and subjective thing.
Yeah.
Trauma, the passage of time, and even subconscious biases can influence how we recall and interpret events. What we perceive as truth is often filtered through a complex lens of personal experience and external influences.
This whole conversation has been a masterclass in navigating, the intricacies of historical research.
Yeah.
And understanding the limitations of evidence and memory and official narratives. It's been both enlightening and mind-boggling, which I guess is the hallmark of a truly fascinating deep dive.
Well said. And it's precisely why the JFK assassination and the events surrounding it continue to captivate and challenge us, decades later. There are so many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
So many tantalizing clues and conflicting perspectives.
Sure.
It's impossible to remain indifferent.
Before we move on to our final thoughts,
Right.
there's one more detail from the Esquire article I want to touch on.
Okay.
The author also arranged a meeting between Vaganoff and Domingo Benavides, the witness who described the red Ford with the white top.
Right.
What happened during that encounter? Yeah, the red Ford with the white top. That detail has been bugging me this whole time.
Yeah.
Did that meeting give us any answers about the connection between Vaganov and the Tippit shooting?
Well, it's another one of those encounters, that raises more questions than it answers.
Yeah.
Neither Vaganoff nor Benavides could definitively say if or how they knew each other.
Right.
However, there was one crucial piece of information that came out of that meeting.
Okay, don't tell me. Benavides confirmed that the red Ford he saw did, in fact, have a white top.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to add another layer of intrigue, Vaganoff actually drove a red Thunderbird with a white top at the time.
Whoa. Okay, that can't be a coincidence.
Right.
It seems like too many details are aligning for this to be purely, circumstantial.
Yeah, it's certainly a striking correlation.
Yeah.
While Benavides couldn't confirm if the car he saw was a Thunderbird specifically, the matching color scheme definitely strengthens the argument that Vaganoff, might have been present at the Tippit shooting.
Right. And if we connect this back to, Jack Tatum's testimony,
right,
it makes his account seem even more dubious.
Yeah.
It seems very unlikely that he was the driver of the red Ford Benavides saw, which, throws his whole story into question.
Precisely. And remember, the Esquire article even suggested that Vaganoff might have been acting as a communications man at the Tippit shooting, similar to how, Jim Hicks allegedly relayed information during the assassination in Dealey Plaza.
Hold on. Are you saying there might have been a coordinated communication network in play during both shootings?
It's a possibility that warrants further investigation.
Right.
And one that should be considered alongside, the discrepancies we discussed in Article 2 about the JFK autopsy evidence.
Right.
If the official narrative of the assassination is as flawed as this article suggests, it opens the door to alternative explanations for how the events of that day unfolded.
Right.
Possibly including a broader conspiracy.
My mind is officially blown. So to sum up, it seems like Jack Tatum's testimony is, highly questionable.
Okay.
And there's a strong possibility that Igor Vaganoff was present at the Tippit shooting, possibly even playing a more active role than we initially thought.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
And it underscores how even seemingly unrelated details like the color of a car can have major implications when it comes to, historical investigations. One seemingly minor discrepancy can lead us down a rabbit hole of new possibilities and alternative explanations.
This deep dive has been a whirlwind of information, conflicting accounts and tantalizing clues. We've, explored witness testimonies, official reports, journalistic accounts, even delved into, the personal recollections of individuals connected to the events. It feels like we've peeled back layers of the onion only to find more layers beneath.
It's the nature of historical research, especially when dealing with, events as complex and controversial as the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
There are so many unanswered questions.
Right.
So many threads that lead to dead ends or even more mysteries. But the pursuit of truth, the attempt to make sense of the past, that's what drives us to keep digging, Keep questioning, keep connecting the dots.
You said it perfectly. This deep dive has been a journey through the intricacies of evidence, the fallibility of memory, and the enduring power of historical inquiry. We may never have all the answers, but the very act of asking the questions, of challenging assumptions, and seeking out multiple perspectives is what brings us closer to a deeper understanding of the past.
And that's ultimately what we're all striving for, isn't it?
Yeah,
to understand, not just what happened, but why it happened, and what it means for us today. The JFK assassination, the shooting of Officer Tippit, the life and death of Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, These are events that continue to resonate, to challenge our assumptions about truth and justice, and to remind us that history is not just a collection of facts and dates, but a living narrative that we're all a part of.
Well said. This deep dive has given us all a lot to ponder. As we continue to, explore these complex events, I encourage all of you to remain curious, to question those official narratives, and to always seek out, diverse perspectives. After all, history is not about, memorizing facts. It's about understanding the context, the motivations, and the human stories that shape our world. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the heart of one of, history's most enduring mysteries.